Her arms were cut off. Her legs were cut off. Her ears were cut off. Her tongue was cut off. Her nose was cut off. Her eyeballs were plucked out. Her eyebrows were then waxed. Her tongue was sliced open. Her hair was...
Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and I hope you guys are doing well, because I am not, because I am just about to go into school in about a week. So yeah, but besides that, I'm doing okay, and today in this video, I'm going to be sculpting a natural environment-esque thing, which I wanted to do for a couple months now, but I never got the time to do it. But obviously, to make this, we're gonna need a main ingredient, which is clay. We need some of that clay. Clay on top. 2 rolling eggs, save your clay crust, and the clay, that's clay. Is that aluminum foil? So yeah, the main ingredient is clay, if you haven't already noticed. And after aggressively stabbing my clay for some random reason, I moved on to the tinfoil to create a base. Since this is one of my bigger projects, I am going to need a base that can go in the oven and also can be moldable, so that is why I am using tinfoil for the base. I then took out my Sculpting glue that I aggressively placed in my clay and began to lather it all over my tinfoil base so that way the clay would spread on it easily. To make this even easier, I had to flatten my clay so that way I would be able to put it carefully over my base without creating as much wrinkles and folds I would need to blend in. I then added some thicker pieces along with some rockish shapes to give it more of a natural look. Along with that, I also started carving into the clay, making indents to make it look more realistic as well, which also includes carving into the rocks and adding more details onto the rocks. And I really like this part because it is very easy for things to look natural. All you need to do is make it look messy, because messy is natural. I then made a wire base for my tree because if you don't make a wired base, then it will crumble and fall whenever it is in the oven. So make sure to make a wired base all the time, especially when dealing with flimsy things like trees. And I actually have to add more wires to the bottom because it kept falling down. But that was easy to fix, I just needed to add more wires. I then constructed some roots to make the tree feel more natural, and I made the roots poking out of the sides, digging into the ground, and coming out into the water area as well. And thanks to this video, I was able to make this realistic wood texture, so make sure to go check it out. It's in the description below. It really helped out with the little porch deck that I did, along with the realistic tree markings that I smudged on there. And the next step was to build this little dock, which it took a while to get the right measurements, along with getting the little wood pieces to look like little wood slabs. But eventually it turned out really cute and very realistic, and I am very happy with how it turned out. And it is one of my favorite pieces out of the whole entire thing. After that, I added 2 little tiny fishes to put into the water that I'm going to be making. And after that, it was about finished. All I needed to do was add a little bit more details and then shove it in the oven for about 15 minutes at 275 degrees. It came out alright, but this is the reason you need to add wires to stuff like this, because one branch that I did not add wires to actually chipped off and fell. So yeah, I had the hot glue back on, but it was alright. Then it was time to move on to the painting part, which was honestly my favorite part. I really like to paint, especially bigger pieces like the grass. I really like the fact that I could just dibble random different colors of green and yellow and make it look like grass. It really turned out cute, and I really like how the grass turned out, and I'll probably paint grass like that from now on. I then painted the tree and made sure to get every crack and crevice, along with the little dock that I put on there, which both look really cute and still look very realistic, which those parts are my favorite. I then painted the rocks, which also turned out well. I then painted the water, which I went for kind of more of a murky color and more of like a grayish type feel instead of the bright blue, and then added some brighter colors in the mix because it would match perfectly with my bright little fishes that I would add in there. After it was completely painted, it was time to add some more realistic stuff in. How am I gonna put all these little pieces and bunch them all into a tree? I don't think that's possible. Whatever, I'll find a way. I started adding little shrubs and there I go, screwing around with the camera and messing up. I really need to work on that. Anyways, I started adding little details with real rocks and some fake shrubs that I got from the store a very long time ago. And along with that, there was some real rocks that I picked up from a little pond a long time ago, which I collected in a McDonald's cup that I found laying around. So yeah, don't litter, it's bad. So I slowly started adding realistic things from little plants and little rocks and little string to make vines. And it was honestly kind of tedious to get the small things into small places with hot glue, but eventually I got the grip of it and I made it turn out decently well to move on to the next part, which was adding the tree stuff, which I was dreading this part because I knew it would be messy, it would be annoying, and honestly, I just wasn't up for that. So I mixed some Mod Podge, like sticky stuff together along with some glue and like stuck it on like slowly. I didn't want to add too much because I didn't want to hide the tree, but I ended up adding too much at first, and then I took some off, and then I added more on, and then I don't know, it was just a whole mess and it took a whole day, and I don't know, I feel like I wasted a day on it because I just didn't know how to do it, but it turned out okay in the end. It's one of my least favorite parts of the whole piece, but you can't have everything perfect. Oh my gosh, I have the hiccups. But look at all this mess. Look at this. It's gross. I eventually got impatient and decided to move on to hot glue. After finishing it, I gladly took off all my newspaper that I had laying down because I knew it would be a mess, and politely dumped it into the trash can. After crinkling it up and getting rid of it, I then moved on to the resin portion, which first things first, I needed to create a type of barrier so that way the resin wouldn't pour out as soon as I placed it in, because of course there was a gaping hole. So I did that by cutting a bag in half and taking a piece out of it and Mod Podging it together along with gluing it, and ended up with this. And also, here's me finicking around with the camera again. I poured in about 40 centimeters, I think, I don't know how to measure, of resin. You know, it's the A and B ratio one where you have to add equal amounts. So it took up a fair bit of resin, but I then realized I made too much resin at once, so there is a little bit of bubbles now because it eventually got thicker, and once it gets thicker, it's harder to get the bubbles out. But the makeshift barrier surprisingly worked, which I was honestly very surprised about because I thought it was just gonna break and it was all gonna be a mess, but I actually got lucky in this video, so yeah. I then added the fish in by slowly pushing them in, and that redfish was very tedious and I had to hold it up by a string because I wanted it to face out of the water. But so far, it's looking pretty good. Which, when it hardened, it was honestly pretty satisfying to take the stuff off, so just listen to this. Doesn't that sound amazing? But after all of that, my creation was finally done. As you guys may or may not have seen, I put a little bit more editing work into this video because I was already late by a day, so I didn't want to rush it. So sorry if it's a bit late, but I wanted to make this video at least half decent, so yeah. And I also wanted to warn you guys that I may be like not making these type of videos as much anymore because school is starting and it's my first year of high school, so I'm kind of panicking right now, and school is kind of starting in a week. So yeah, I might do more animating type videos as of lately, so don't be scared if I don't upload in like 1 or 2 weeks. It's just school catching up to me. So have a great rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next month. Goodbye.